I thought love was supposed to lift you up, not remind you every day that you weren't good enough. My wife became a doctor, and suddenly, the man who worked two jobs to put her through medical school wasn't worth standing next to anymore. She left me for someone on her level, someone who fit the life she was building, someone who wasn't a janitor. But here's the thing about people who measure worth by job titles, they never see you coming. Years later, she walked into an interview at the hospital where I worked, ready to impress the new owner. She had no idea she was about to sit across the table from me. If you're watching this, subscribe and tell me where you're watching from, because what happened next changed both of our lives forever. The alarm went off at 4:30 a.m., same as always. I didn't need it anymore. My body knew the routine. 5 years of waking up before the sun does that to you. I reached over and turned it off before the second beep could sound. The apartment was quiet, cold too. I could see my breath in the dim light coming through the blinds. I sat up slowly, my feet finding the worn carpet. My work uniform hung on the back of the door, navy blue pants, matching shirt with my name stitched on the pocket. Marcus. Like, I might forget who I was if it wasn't written there. I got dressed in the dark. Evelyn was still asleep in the bedroom, or pretending to be. I couldn't tell anymore. The bathroom mirror showed a man who looked older than 32, not in a bad way, just tired. I splashed water on my face and brushed my teeth. My reflection stared back at me, and I wondered when we'd stopped looking at each other the same way. When had her eyes changed? The kitchen was small. We'd talked about moving once, back when we talked about futures that included both of us. I made coffee in the cheap machine we got as a wedding gift. The pot gurgled and hissed. I poured it into my thermos and grabbed the lunch I'd packed the night before. Turkey sandwich, apple, chips, same thing every day. I was out the door by 5:15. The hospital wasn't far. I could have driven, but I walked. Saved gas money, saved car wear. Evelyn needed the car more anyway, with her residency schedule. That's what I told myself. The streets were empty this early, just me and the streetlights and the occasional delivery truck. I liked the quiet. Gave me time to think. Or not think, depending on the day. The hospital looked different in the pre-dawn darkness. Bigger somehow. More important. I went through the employee entrance in the back, swiped my badge, and headed to the maintenance office. Morning, Marcus. Jerome was already there, checking the schedule. He'd been a janitor here for 15 years. Good man. Steady. Morning. You got the third floor again. They had some kind of incident in the OR wing last night. Might need extra attention. I nodded. Third floor was fine. I knew every inch of that building. Every corner. Every closet. Every stain that wouldn't come out no matter how hard you scrubbed. I loaded my cart and headed to the elevator. The work was simple. Mindless, some might say. But I didn't mind it. There was something honest about cleaning. You saw the mess, you fixed it, you moved on. Results you could measure, progress you could see, not like a marriage, not like love. I mopped floors and emptied trash cans. I wiped down handrails and cleaned bathrooms. I worked around the early shift nurses, staying out of their way, invisible in the way that service workers learn to be. Excuse me? I moved my cart as a doctor rushed past. She didn't look at me. They never did. By 8 a.m., the hospital was awake. Phones ringing, people talking, machines beeping. The sound of life and death happening all at once. I saw Evelyn around 9:30. She came out of the residence lounge with two other doctors, white coats, stethoscopes, tired eyes. She was laughing at something one of them said. Her hair was pulled back, the way she wore it for work. Professional, put together. She looked happy. She didn't see me, or maybe she did and pretended not to. I couldn't tell anymore. I pushed my cart past them, keeping my eyes forward, but I heard her voice. So I told the attending I'd take the lead on rounds today. About time, right? I've been here 3 years. I know what I'm doing. You're going to make an incredible doctor, Evelyn. That was one of the other residents. Male voice. Smooth, too smooth. Thanks, Daniel. That means a lot. Daniel. I knew that name. Heard it more and more lately. I turned the corner and kept working. Lunch was at noon. I sat in the cafeteria at my usual table in the back. My mom worked here too, serving food behind the counter. She'd been doing it for 20 years. Put me through community college with that job. Tried to put me through more, but I'd stopped after 2 years to work full time when Dad got sick. He died before I could go back. And then there was Evelyn, and school seemed less important than making sure she could finish hers. You eating enough? Mom appeared at my table with an extra roll. She always brought me extra something. I'm fine, Mama. You look thin. I look the same as yesterday. She sat down across from me, her break starting. Her hands were red from the hot water and soap. Mine probably looked the same. How's Evelyn? She asked. I shrugged. Busy. Mm-hmm. Mom had a way of hearing what you didn't say. She coming to dinner Sunday? I'll ask. You've been saying that for 6 weeks, Marcus. I didn't have an answer for that. Mom reached across the table and squeezed my hand. Her grip was strong, weathered, real. Baby, you can't make yourself smaller to fit into someone else's life. You know that, right? I knew, but knowing and accepting are different things. The afternoon shift went by in a blur. More floors, more rooms, more invisible work that kept the building running. I saw Evelyn twice more. Once in the hallway, where she walked right past me talking on her phone. Once in the parking lot at shift change. She was with Daniel again. They were standing by her car, our car, and he was leaning against it like he owned it, like he owned her. She was smiling up at him. That smile used to be mine. I finished loading my equipment and clocked out at 3 yas. The walk home was longer than the walk there. It always was. I got back to the apartment around 3:30. Evelyn wouldn't be home until after midnight, another double shift, or that's what she said. I showered and changed into regular clothes, jeans and a t-shirt. Then I sat on the couch with my laptop and did what I'd been doing every evening for the past 2 years. I studied business management, hospital administration, finance. I took free online courses, I read articles, I watched lectures. I filled notebooks with information about healthcare operations, efficiency models, cost reduction, strategies. Jerome thought I was crazy. Man, why you studying all that? You planning to run this place someday? Maybe. Or maybe I was just preparing for a life that hadn't caught up to me yet. I worked until my eyes hurt, until the words blurred together, until I heard the key in the lock. It was 7:30 p.m. Evelyn came through the door and I knew immediately that something was different. Her shoulders were straighter, her face was harder. She'd made a decision about something. Hey, I said, closing my laptop. Hey. She set her purse down, took off her coat, moved through the apartment like she was walking through a stranger's house. You're home early. They cut my shift. Too many residents on tonight. She went to the kitchen, poured herself a glass of water, drank it standing up. I waited. Marcus, we need to talk. 4 words, simple, clear, devastating. I'd known they were coming. For weeks, maybe months, but knowing doesn't make it easier. Okay, I said. She sat down on the chair across from the couch. Not next to me, across from me. Like this was a meeting. I've been thinking a lot about us, about our future. Okay, and I don't think this is working anymore. The room got very quiet. Even the refrigerator stopped humming. What do you mean? I asked, even though I knew. I mean, I'm not happy, Marcus. Haven't been for a while. Why didn't you say something? I am saying something. Right now. I leaned forward, elbows on my knees. So, what do you want to do about it? She looked down at her hands, at the ring on her finger, the one I'd saved 6 months to buy. I think we should separate, get a divorce. There it was, the words I'd been dreading, the ending I'd seen coming but refused to believe. Just like that? My voice was steady, calm. Years of swallowing emotions had taught me control. It's not just like that. This has been building for a long time. Building how? Talk to me, Evelyn. Help me. Understand. She sighed, looked at me with eyes that used to see me differently. You're a good person, Marcus. You are. But we're in different places now. I'm building a career. I'm becoming something. And you're. She trailed off. I'm what? I asked quietly. You're still cleaning floors? The words hung in the air like smoke. Poisonous. Revealing. I see. I don't mean it like that, she said quickly. I just mean we're not compatible anymore. We want different things. I need someone who understands my world, someone who can move in the same circles, someone who's not beneath you. Her face flushed. That's not what I said. But it's what you meant. She stood up, agitated now. See, this is why we can't talk. You twist everything. I'm just trying to understand when I became an embarrassment to you. You're not an embarrassment. We're just different people than we were when we got married. You're different, I corrected. I'm the same man I've always been. Exactly. She said it like it proved her point. You're the same, and I've grown. I stood up too, not to intimidate, just to meet her eye to eye. Is there someone else? She hesitated, just a second, but it was enough. That's not what this is about. That's not an answer. Marcus, please, let's not make this uglier than it has to be. How ugly is it going to be? She reached down and twisted the ring off her finger, set it on the coffee table between us. The small diamond caught the light. I'll stay at a hotel tonight. We can figure out the details tomorrow. She grabbed her purse and coat, moved toward the door. Evelyn? She stopped but didn't turn around. Did I do something wrong? I asked. Or did I just stop being useful? She left without answering. I stood there for a long time after she was gone, looking at the ring on the table, trying to remember when being a good man stopped being enough. Eventually, I picked up the ring and put it in my pocket. Then, I lay down on the couch because I couldn't bring myself to sleep in our bed alone. I stared at the ceiling and tried not to think about the way she'd said, "You're still cleaning floors," like it was a disease, like it made me less. My phone buzzed around midnight, a text from Mom. "You okay, baby?" She always knew, even when I didn't tell her. I typed back, "Yeah, talk tomorrow." But I wasn't okay, and we both knew it. I closed my eyes and tried to sleep, but all I could hear was Evelyn's voice. All I could see was the way she looked at me, like I was something small, something in her way, something beneath her. And for the first time in 5 years, I let myself feel angry. Not loud, not destructive, just quiet and cold and clear. Tomorrow I'd go back to work. I'd push my cart. I'd mop floors. I'd be invisible. But something had shifted tonight. Some part of me she'd tried to make smaller had suddenly straightened up, stood taller, decided it was done shrinking. I didn't know what would happen next, but I knew I was done apologizing for being exactly who I'd always been. A man who worked hard, loved deeply, and refused to believe that my worth was measured by how I looked in someone else's world. The apartment was cold, empty, quiet, but for the first time in months, I felt like I could breathe. The next morning, I woke up stiff and sore from the couch. My neck hurt, my back hurt, everything hurt, but I got up anyway. Same time, same routine, because what else was I supposed to do? Fall apart? That's what she'd expect. That's what would prove her right. I wasn't going to give her that. I showered and dressed, made coffee, packed my lunch. The apartment felt bigger without her stuff scattered around, emptier. But maybe that was just honest now. It had been empty for a while. I was just seeing it clearly. The walk to work was colder than usual, or maybe I just felt it more. Jerome was already in the maintenance office when I arrived. "You look rough, man. Didn't sleep great. You coming down with something?" "Maybe." It was easier than explaining. I grabbed my cart and went to work. Third floor again, then second, then down to the lobby. I moved through the building like a ghost, there but not there, seen but not noticed, until I saw her. Evelyn was at the nurse's station, reviewing a chart. Her hair was in a ponytail, same white coat, same confident posture, like nothing had changed, like she hadn't just ended our marriage 12 hours ago. Daniel was next to her, standing too close. His hand brushed her arm as he pointed at something on the chart. She laughed, soft, familiar. My hands tightened on the mop handle. They didn't see me. I was just the janitor, just part of the background, just the help. I kept working, kept my head down, kept moving. But then I heard it. "Evelyn, you want to grab lunch after rounds?" Daniel's voice, smooth and easy. "Sure. That sounds nice." "Great. There's that new place downtown. Supposed to be really good." "I'd love that." I pushed my cart past them, close enough that I had to say it. "Excuse me." Evelyn looked up. Her eyes met mine for just a second. There was something there. Guilt, maybe, or pity. I couldn't tell which was worse. "Oh, hi, Marcus." Daniel glanced at me, then back at Evelyn. "You know him? He's... we..." She hesitated, like she couldn't figure out how to explain me. "He works here. Not he's my husband. Not even he's my ex. Just he works here." Daniel nodded, already losing interest. I was dismissed, forgotten. I moved past them without another word. My shift ended at 3. I clocked out and headed home. But when I got there, Evelyn's car was in the parking lot. Our car. Technically mine, since I'd been the one making the payments, but she'd been using it more. I went upstairs and found the door unlocked. She was in the bedroom, packing. 2 suitcases open on the bed. She was taking her clothes, her books, her laptop, moving efficiently, like she'd been planning this. "Hey," I said from the doorway. She jumped a little. "God, you scared me." "Sorry. It's fine. I wanted to get my stuff while you were at work. Didn't want to make it weird." Too late for that. I leaned against the door frame and watched her pack. She was taking the good towels, the nice sheets, the coffee maker I'd bought last year. "You can have the furniture," she said. "I don't really need it. I'm going to stay with a friend for now, until I find my own place." "What friend?" She didn't answer. Didn't have to. "Daniel's place is nice," I said quietly. "Big windows. Good view." She stopped folding a sweater. Her shoulders tensed. "It's not like that, isn't it? Marcus, please, let's not do this." "Do what? Have an honest conversation? Ask questions about why my wife is leaving me for someone else?" "I'm not leaving you for someone else. I'm leaving because we're not right for each other anymore. And he just happens to be waiting." She turned to face me. Her eyes were hard, defensive. "You want to know the truth? Fine. Yes, Daniel and I have gotten close. We work together. We understand each other's lives. We're on the same level." "The same level," I repeated. "Yes, professionally, intellectually. We have things in common. Like looking down on people who clean for a living. That's not fair." "What's not fair is you pretending this is about compatibility when it's really about shame. You're ashamed of me, Evelyn. Admit it." Her face flushed. "I'm not ashamed. I'm just... I've worked so hard to get where I am. And every time someone asks what my husband does, I have to... Have to what? Explain that I'm a janitor? Say it, Evelyn. Say the word. You're being cruel. I'm being honest. There's a difference. She grabbed another armful of clothes and shoved them into the suitcase. I don't expect you to understand. You've never wanted more than this. This small life, this small apartment, this small job. But I want more. I deserve more. And I'm too small to fit into that more. She didn't deny it. I watched her pack in silence, watched her take pieces of our life and sort them into mine and not mine, watched our marriage get reduced to 2 suitcases and a box of bathroom stuff. I'll send someone for the rest later, she said, zipping up the last bag. We can figure out the paperwork next week. My lawyer will contact you. You already have a lawyer? I was trying to be prepared. How long have you been planning this? She picked up the suitcases. Does it matter? Yeah, it does. She looked at me then. Really looked at me, and I saw it clearly. The moment she'd decided I wasn't enough. It wasn't recent. It had been building for years. Maybe since the day she started medical school. Maybe since the day she realized she was going to be a doctor and I was going to be me. Goodbye, Marcus. She walked out. I heard her footsteps down the hall, heard the car start, heard her drive away. I stood in the empty bedroom for a long time. Then I closed the door and went back to the living room. My laptop was still on the coffee table, my notebooks full of business strategies and efficiency models, all the studying I'd been doing, all the preparing for a future I'd imagined. I opened the laptop and kept working. Because that's what you do when your world falls apart. You keep moving, you keep building, you keep preparing for a tomorrow that hasn't caught up yet. 2 weeks later, I signed the divorce papers in a lawyer's office downtown. Evelyn's lawyer was a woman in an expensive suit, sharp eyes, no nonsense voice. She laid out the terms like she was reading a grocery list. No children, no shared property beyond the vehicle, which Mr. Hill will retain, no alimony required from either party. Both parties agree to a clean separation, signed where she pointed. Evelyn signed next to me. Her hand didn't shake. Mine didn't either. That's it, the lawyer said. You're officially divorced. Papers will be filed by end of week. We stood up. Evelyn grabbed her purse. Take care of yourself, Marcus, she said, like we were old friends parting ways, like she hadn't just erased 5 years with a signature. You too. She left first. I waited a few minutes before leaving. Didn't want to walk out with her. Didn't want to share an elevator or a sidewalk or even the same air if I could help it. When I finally left the building, it was raining, light, cold, miserable. I walked home, got soaked, didn't care. Life went on because it had to. I worked my shifts, mopped floors, emptied trash, stayed invisible. I saw Evelyn sometimes, in the hallways, in the cafeteria, always with Daniel, always laughing, always looking like she'd made the right choice. Maybe she had. Maybe I really was too small for her big life, but kept studying, kept learning, kept watching how the hospital ran, how decisions got made, how money moved, how power worked. I noticed things other people didn't, the way supplies got wasted, the way scheduling could be more efficient, the way patient flow could improve with small changes. I mentioned a few things to Jerome. He mentioned them to his supervisor. Word traveled up. One day, about 3 months after the divorce, I was cleaning the administrative wing when someone called my name. Marcus Hill? I turned. An older white man stood in an office doorway. Salt and pepper hair, kind eyes, expensive watch. Yes, sir? I'm Richard Calder. I own the clinic on the north side, connected to this hospital. I knew who he was. Everyone did. Yes, sir, I know. You're the one who suggested the new supply rotation system? I hesitated. I mentioned it to my supervisor. Didn't know it went anywhere. It went to me. Saved us $12,000 in the first month. That's good. It's more than good. It's smart. He studied me. You got time for coffee? I'm working, sir. I'll clear it with your supervisor. Coffee? 20 minutes later, I was sitting across from Richard Calder in a small coffee shop 2 blocks from the hospital. He ordered a black coffee. I did the same. Tell me about yourself, he said. So I did. Not everything, just the basics. Where I grew up, how I started at the hospital, the community college classes I'd taken. You married? He asked. Divorced? Recently. I'm sorry to hear that. I shrugged. It happens. Why didn't you finish school? My dad got sick. Then he died. Then I met my wife, and she was in medical school, and someone needed to work. So I worked. You supported her through school? Yeah. And now? Now I study on my own, free courses, books, whatever I can find. He nodded slowly, thoughtfully. I'm getting old, Marcus. Been running that clinic for 30 years. It's time to think about what comes next. I didn't know what to say, so I said nothing. I need someone who understands the business, someone smart, someone who sees what others miss, someone who's not afraid of hard work. There are a lot of people like that, I said. Not as many as you'd think. He smiled. I'd like you to consider working with me, learning the business side, see if it fits. Sir, I appreciate that, but I don't have a degree. I don't have. You have something better. You have eyes that see problems and a mind that finds solutions. The rest, we can teach. I stared at my coffee, at this opportunity that had just walked into my life without warning. Why me? I asked. Because $12,000 in savings tells me you're paying attention when everyone else is just going through the motions, and because I believe in people who work hard without expecting recognition. He slid a business card across the table. Think about it. Call me if you're interested. I took the card. Thank you, sir. Call me Richard. We finished our coffee and walked back to the hospital. He went to his meeting. I went back to my cart. But something had shifted. Some door had opened that I didn't even know existed. That night, I sat in my apartment, still mostly empty, still mostly quiet, and looked at Richard Calder's card. I thought about Evelyn, about how she'd looked at me like I was too small, too stuck, too unworthy of her new life. I thought about Daniel, about his smug face and his easy arrogance. I thought about my mom, about her red hands and her strong grip and her words. You can't make yourself smaller to fit into someone else's life. I picked up my phone and dialed the number on the card. Richard answered on the second ring. This is Richard. Mr. Calder, it's Marcus Hill. I'd like to take you up on your offer. Good. Come by the clinic tomorrow afternoon. We'll talk details. Yes, sir. Thank you. Marcus? Yes? Stop calling me. Sir? We're going to be partners. He hung up. I sat there, phone still in my hand, and for the first time since Evelyn had left, I felt something that wasn't pain. I felt possibility. 1 year changed everything. I still worked my janitorial shifts in the morning, still pushed the cart, still mopped floors. But in the afternoons, I worked with Richard at the clinic. He taught me everything: how to read financial statements, how to negotiate with suppliers, how to manage staff, how to think 3 steps ahead. Medicine is about saving lives, he said one day, but healthcare is about systems. You need both to make it work. I learned fast. I had to. This was my chance, my one shot at becoming something more than what Evelyn had seen when she looked at me. I saved every dollar I could, lived in the same small apartment, drove the same old car, ate the same simple meals. While other people spent money trying to look successful, I was actually building something. Richard noticed. You're disciplined, he said. Most people your age want the appearance of success. You want the reality of it. Appearances don't pay bills, I said. No, but they make people feel important. He smiled. You're going to do well, Marcus. At the hospital, life moved on without me noticing much. I saw Evelyn sometimes. less than before. She'd moved to a different rotation, but when I did see her, she was always with Daniel. They looked comfortable together, easy, like they fit. Good for her, I guess. Mom asked me about it once during lunch in the cafeteria. You doing okay, baby? Really okay? Yeah, Mama, I'm good. You look different, lighter somehow. Just working, learning, moving forward. She squeezed my hand. That's my boy. I didn't tell her about Richard's offer yet. The real one. The one he'd mentioned 3 months ago. I'm thinking of retiring, he'd said. Selling the clinic. Moving to Florida with my wife. She's been patient long enough. You deserve it, I'd said. The question is, who do I sell to? A corporation that'll gut the place for profit? Or someone who'll actually care about the community? I'd waited. I want you to buy it, Marcus. I'd almost laughed. Sir, I don't have that kind of money. Not yet, but you're building it, and I'm willing to work out terms, a plan that makes sense for both of us. Why would you do that? Because you remind me of myself 30 years ago. Hungry, smart, willing to work when others are sleeping. He'd leaned back in his chair. And because I've watched you, you're not doing this for ego. You're doing this because you want to build something real. Now, a year after the divorce, I was close. Richard and I had worked out the numbers, the payment plan, the transition timeline. In 6 months, the clinic would be mine. A modest facility, nothing fancy, but mine. And then Richard had another idea. The hospital's struggling, he said one afternoon. Administration is a mess. They're losing money on inefficiencies. I've been consulting with them for years, but they don't listen. Why not? Pride. They think they know better. He tapped his desk. But they're going to have to sell soon. Probably to a private buyer. Maybe even sooner than they think. Who would buy a struggling hospital? Someone with vision. Someone who sees past the current problems to what it could be. He looked at me meaningfully. That's too big, I said. I can barely afford the clinic. Not now, but in a few years, with the right planning? He shrugged. Think about it. What's the point of building something small when you could build something that matters? I did think about it. Late at night, in my quiet apartment, I ran numbers, made projections, calculated risks. It was crazy, impossible. A janitor buying a hospital? But maybe that was the point. Maybe impossible just meant nobody had done it yet. Evelyn's life wasn't going as smoothly as it looked. I didn't know that for a while. Didn't care to know. But gossip travels in hospitals like infection. Daniel had cheated on her multiple times with nurses, with other residents, with anyone who'd give him attention. She'd found out 6 months after our divorce. Caught him in a supply closet with a surgical nurse. They'd fought, broken up. She'd moved out of his place and into her own apartment. She looked different after that. Tired, harder, like something inside her had cracked. I saw her in the cafeteria one day. She was alone, picking at a salad, staring at nothing. For a second, just a second, I felt bad for her. Then I remembered the way she'd looked at me, the way she'd said, "You're still cleaning floors," the way she'd taken off her ring like it meant nothing. I kept walking. Mom saw it differently. "That girl looks miserable," she said. "That's not my problem anymore." I know, but you were good to her, Marcus, even if she didn't deserve it. Being good doesn't mean letting people hurt you twice. No, it doesn't. She paused. But don't let her turn you bitter. You're better than that. I wasn't bitter. I was focused. There's a difference. 2 years after the divorce, I officially bought the clinic. Richard retired the same week. Big celebration. Lots of speeches, lots of tears. He'd been part of the community for so long. People loved him. Take care of this place, he told me on his last day. It's more than a business. It's a lifeline for a lot of people. I will, I promise. I know you will. That's why I'm leaving it to you. He hugged me, actual tears in his eyes. Make me proud, son. I'll try, sir. Richard, how many times do I have to tell you? I smiled. I'll try, Richard. He left for Florida that weekend, and I got to work. Running the clinic was harder than I'd expected. Longer hours, bigger problems, more pressure. But I loved it. Every challenge, every late night, every problem I solved, it all meant something. I wasn't invisible anymore. I wasn't just a janitor. I was a business owner, a healthcare administrator, someone who mattered. But I kept my janitorial job at the hospital, worked 3 mornings a week, partly for the extra income, partly because I wasn't ready to let go of where I came from, and partly because I wanted to see, to watch, to understand how the hospital worked from every angle. Jerome thought I was insane. Man, you own a business now. Why you still pushing a mop? Keeps me humble. Humble don't pay the bills. No, but it keeps you honest. The truth was more complicated. I was watching the hospital fail, watching administration make the same mistakes over and over, watching money disappear into inefficiency and poor planning. And I was taking notes. Richard had been right. The hospital was going to sell. Soon. I started making calls, talking to banks, building relationships, creating a plan that seemed impossible but maybe, just maybe, could work. 3 years after the divorce, the hospital announced it was accepting private bids. I submitted mine, not as Marcus Hill, janitor, as Marcus Hill, owner of Calder Community Clinic, small healthcare provider with a proven track record of efficiency and patient care. I didn't tell anyone, not Jerome, not mom, not anyone. The board reviewed bids for 2 months. During that time, I saw Evelyn more often. She'd been promoted, was doing well professionally, but she still looked tired, still looked like something was missing. Daniel was still around too, still arrogant, still treating support staff like furniture. One day, he snapped at me over a wet floor sign. This is in the way. Move it. It's there for safety, sir. Someone spilled. I don't care. Move it now. I moved it. He walked past without a thank you, without even looking at me. Some people never change. The call came on a Tuesday afternoon. Mr. Hill, this is Janet Chen from the hospital board. We'd like to discuss your bid. Yes, ma'am. Can you come in tomorrow, 10 a.m.? I'll be there. I hung up and sat very still. This was it. The moment everything either came together or fell apart. I called Mom. Mama, I need to tell you something. What's wrong, baby? Nothing's wrong. I did something big, and I need you to know. I told her everything. The clinic, the planning, the bid, the hospital. She was quiet for a long time. Mama, I'm here. I'm proud of you, Marcus. So proud. I haven't gotten it yet. You will? I know you will. How do you know? Because you're my son, and I raised you to finish what you start. The meeting was in the main conference room. Big table, leather chairs, wall of windows overlooking the city. 5 board members sat across from me. Janet Chen in the middle, all of them in suits, all of them looking skeptical. I wore my best suit, the only one I owned. It was 5 years old but still fit. Mr. Hill, Janet began, your bid is interesting. Thank you. You're proposing to purchase the hospital through a structured payment plan with capital from the clinic you currently own. Yes, ma'am. You understand this is highly unusual? I do. Why should we take a risk on you? I'd prepared for this question, practiced the answer 100 times, because I know this hospital better than anyone in this room. I've worked here for 8 years. I've seen every department, every problem, every inefficiency. I know where you're bleeding money and how to stop it. I know what patients need and what staff need. I don't have the biggest bid, but I have the best plan. And if you fail, I won't. That's confident. That's honest. They asked more questions about finances, about management, about vision. I answered everyone. Finally, Janet looked at the others. We'll need to discuss this privately. We'll be in touch within the week. Thank you for your time. I stood up and shook hands with each of them. As I left, I passed by the third floor, my old floor, where I'd spent years being invisible. I wasn't invisible anymore, but the hardest part was still coming. Because earlier that day, I'd seen something in the administrative office, a stack of job applications, and on top of that stack, I'd seen a name, Dr. Evelyn Carter. She was applying for a position here, at the hospital I was about to own. She had no idea. I should have felt victorious, satisfied, like the universe was finally balancing the scales. But all I felt was tired, because winning wasn't supposed to feel like this. Heavy, complicated, real. I went home and sat in the dark for a long time. Tomorrow, the board would decide. And then, I'd have to decide what kind of man I wanted to be. The kind who showed mercy, or the kind who showed someone what it felt like to be judged as too small. I didn't have an answer yet, but I knew one thing for certain. Evelyn was about to find out that the man she'd thrown away had become someone she never imagined, and I was about to find out if that was enough. The call came 3 days later. Mr. Hill, Janet Chen, the board has made a decision. I was at the clinic reviewing supply orders. My hand stopped moving. Yes, ma'am? We'd like to offer you the hospital, pending final contract review and approval from our legal team. I closed my eyes, breathed. Thank you. I won't let you down. We're counting on that. We'll send over the paperwork tomorrow. Congratulations, Marcus. I hung up and sat very still. I'd done it. A janitor had just bought a hospital. The contracts took 2 weeks to finalize. 2 weeks of lawyers and signatures and terms and conditions. 2 weeks of keeping it quiet while everything was processed. During that time, I kept working both jobs. Clinic in the afternoons, hospital in the mornings. Still invisible. Still just Marcus with the mop cart. I saw Evelyn twice. Once in the hallway, once in the parking lot. She didn't see me either time. But I saw her, saw the application she'd submitted, saw her name on the list of candidates for the new hospitalist position. She needed this job. I'd heard through the cafeteria gossip network, the most reliable information source in any hospital, that she'd had some trouble at her last position. Something about a conflict with an attending physician. Nothing serious, but enough to make her want a fresh start. She had no idea she was applying to work for me. Mom found out about the purchase before I could tell her myself. Hospital gossip again. She called me at midnight. Marcus Terrell Hill. I smiled at her use of my full name. Hey, Mama. Is it true? Is what true? Don't you play with me, boy. Did you buy this hospital? Yeah, I did. Silence. Then a sound I'd never heard from my mother in my entire life. She was crying. Mama, I'm okay, baby. Your father would be so proud. I'm so proud. It's not official yet. Few more signatures. It's official enough. My son owns the hospital where I serve food, where I've worked for 23 years. You won't be serving food much longer if I have anything to say about it. Marcus, I'm serious. You've worked hard enough. It's time. We'll talk about it later. Right now, I just want to say I love you. And I always believed in you, even when that girl made you feel small. I know, Mama. I love you too. After we hung up, I sat in the dark apartment. The same apartment I'd lived in through everything. Through marriage, through divorce, through transformation. I could afford something better now, something bigger. But I wasn't ready to leave yet. This place had taught me something important. Where you live doesn't define you. What you do with your life defines you. The official announcement came on a Monday morning. Hospital-wide email, new ownership, transition, period, meeting all staff expectations, standard corporate language that meant everything was about to change. I wasn't at the hospital when it went out. I was at the clinic, intentionally staying away. Let the news settle first. Let people process it. My phone started ringing immediately. Jerome called first. Man, tell me this is real. Tell me you actually own the hospital now. It's real. Marcus Hill. Marcus Hill, the janitor, owns the whole damn hospital. I'm not a janitor anymore. You cleaned my floors for 8 years. You'll always be a janitor to me. He laughed. But you're also my boss now. That's wild. You're not losing your job, Jerome. Nobody is. Not unless they give me a reason. Good. Because I got 3 more years until retirement, and I'd like to actually make it. Lena Moore called next. She was the hospital administrator who'd actually run most of the day-to-day operations while the previous board had made bad decisions. Mr. Hill? Marcus is fine. Marcus, I just want to say I'm relieved. I've reviewed your efficiency proposals. They're solid. Much better than what we've been working with. I learned from watching what didn't work. Smart. When do you want to meet with department heads? Tomorrow. But today, I need to handle something else first. The new hire reviews? Yes. I'll have the files ready. She understood without me having to explain. Professional, discreet, exactly the kind of person I needed. I arrived at the hospital at 2 p.m., walked through the employee entrance for the last time as a janitor. This time, I was wearing a suit. This time, people noticed. Mr. Hill, the security guard did a double take. Is that you? Hey, Ron. Man, congratulations. Everyone's talking about it. Thanks. You going to change things around here? Some things. The important things. I took the elevator to the administrative floor. The same floor I used to clean. Now I was walking into the main office, the one with my name on it. My name. Lena was waiting with a stack of folders. Applications for the hospitalist position. We need to fill it within 2 weeks. I've narrowed it down to 5 candidates. I sat behind the desk. It felt strange, too big, too official. Let me see them. She handed me the folders one by one. I reviewed each application carefully. Education, experience, references, all qualified, all capable. Then she handed me the last one, Dr. Evelyn Carter. Her photo was clipped to the top. Professional headshot, serious expression, white coat, stethoscope, everything that said doctor. I read through her application slowly. Her credentials were solid, good medical school, strong residency reviews, competent physician. She's well qualified, Lena said carefully. Though, I should mention, I did some checking. She had a situation at her previous hospital, conflict with another physician. Nothing that went on her record, but enough that she wanted a change. What kind of conflict? Professional disagreement that got personal. She felt she was being undermined. The attending felt she was being insubordinate. And the truth? Probably somewhere in the middle. Lena paused. She's divorced. No family nearby. This job would be a fresh start for her. I closed the folder. Schedule her interview for tomorrow, 10 a.m. Are you sure you want to? I'm sure. Lena nodded and left. I sat alone in the office, looking at Evelyn's application. 3 years ago, she'd told me I was too small for her life, that I didn't fit, that I was beneath her. Now, she was asking me for a job. The universe had a sense of humor. The next morning, I arrived early. The interview was scheduled in the main conference room, the same room where I'd presented my bid. Everything had been prepared, water glasses, notepads, professional setting. I reviewed her file one more time, checked my notes, made sure I knew exactly what I wanted to ask. At exactly 10 a.m., there was a knock on the door. "Come in." The door opened. Evelyn walked in wearing a navy blue dress and blazer. Professional, confident. Her hair was pulled back. She carried a leather portfolio. She was smiling, prepared to impress. Then she saw me. The smile froze. Her eyes went wide. Her face lost color. "Marcus?" "Dr. Carter, please, have a seat." She didn't move, just stared. I I don't understand. "I'm conducting your interview. Please sit down." She moved like she was walking through water. Slow, uncertain. She sat across from me at the large table. You own the hospital?" "As of 2 weeks ago, yes. But you worked." "I was a janitor, I remember." She opened her mouth, closed it, opened it again. "I didn't know." "No, you wouldn't have." I opened her file. Professional, neutral. "Shall we begin?" "Marcus, During this interview, you can call me Mr. Hill." The words hung in the air. Cold, clear, final. She swallowed hard, nodded. "Yes, of course, Mr. Hill." I asked her the same questions I'd asked the other candidates about her experience, her approach to patient care, her ability to work with staff, her long-term goals. She answered. Her voice was steady, but I could see her hands shaking slightly, could see the way she kept glancing at me like she was seeing a stranger. Good, because I was a stranger. The man she'd married was gone. She'd made sure of that. "Why do you want this position?" I asked. "I'm looking for a place where I can grow, where I can contribute meaningfully to patient care and hospital culture." "What happened at your previous position?" She hesitated. There was a disagreement with an attending, a difference in medical opinion that became personal. I felt it was time to move on. "Tell me about the disagreement." "I believed a patient needed immediate intervention. The attending wanted to wait. I went over his head to another senior physician. I was right. The patient needed surgery, but it created tension." "You didn't follow chain of command." "I followed my medical judgment." "Those aren't always the same thing." She met my eyes. "No, they're not. But I'd make the same choice again if it meant saving a life." I made a note. Not because I needed to, because it gave me time to think. "Tell me about your strengths and weaknesses." "My strength is that I care deeply about patient outcomes. My weakness is—" She paused. "I sometimes judge people too quickly, make assumptions based on surface impressions rather than seeing the whole picture." "That's an interesting weakness. It's an honest one." "Is it? Or is it just what you think I want to hear?" Her face flushed. "It's honest." I closed the folder and leaned back. "Dr. Carter, this hospital needs physicians who are competent, professional, and respectful to all staff members, from doctors to nurses to maintenance workers. Everyone matters here. Can you work in that environment?" "Yes." "Even if your supervisor is someone you once considered beneath you?" The words cut. I saw her flinch. "I never said—" "You didn't have to say it. You showed it every day." Silence filled the room. "Marcus, Mr. Hill, I was wrong. About a lot of things. I know that now." "What changed your mind? The fact that I succeeded, or the fact that you needed something from me?" "That's not fair." "Fair?" I kept my voice level, calm. "You told me I was too small for your life, that I didn't fit. You left me for a man who cheated on you 6 months later. You introduced me as just maintenance to your colleagues, and now you're sitting in my office asking for a job. Tell me what part of that is supposed to feel fair." Tears filled her eyes. "You're right. Everything you said is right. I was cruel. I was shallow. I was so focused on how things looked that I couldn't see what actually mattered." "And what matters?" "Character, integrity, the kind of person someone is when nobody's watching." She wiped her eyes. "You had all of that. I just couldn't see it." I stood up, walked to the window, looked out at the city. I'm going to offer you the position, I said quietly. What? Probationary, 6 months. After that, we'll evaluate. Your credentials are solid. Your patient care record is strong. This hospital needs good doctors. I don't understand. After everything I did, this isn't about revenge, Evelyn. It's about running a hospital. Personal feelings don't get to decide who provides patient care. I turned to face her. But make no mistake, you'll work under my policies, follow my leadership, treat every single person in this building with respect, regardless of their position. If you can't do that, you can leave right now. She stood up slowly. I can do that. I will do that. Good. Report to Lena Moore tomorrow at 8 a.m. She'll handle your onboarding. Thank you, Marcus. Mr. Hill, thank you. She moved toward the door, then stopped. For what it's worth, I'm sorry. I'm truly sorry for how I treated you. You deserved better. Yeah, I did. She left. I sat back down at the desk and took a long breath. It didn't feel like victory. It felt like closure. The next few months were busy. I implemented new systems, cut waste, improved scheduling, built relationships with staff, listened to concerns, made changes that mattered. The hospital started recovering, financially, operationally, culturally. Evelyn worked quietly, professionally. She was good with patients, respectful to staff. She kept her head down and did her job. I saw her sometimes in the hallways. She always nodded, always said, Mr. Hill, always kept moving. Daniel showed up once, 2 months after Evelyn started. He came looking for her, walked through the hospital like he still belonged there. He found me in the administrative wing. Hey, I need to speak with Dr. Carter. Can you tell her? He's stopped, recognition hitting him slowly. Wait, you were the janitor. I own the hospital now. His face went through several emotions: confusion, disbelief, anger. That's impossible. And yet here we are. I need to speak with Evelyn. Dr. Carter is with a patient. You can leave a message with the front desk. I'll just wait for her. No, you'll leave. This is a hospital, not a social club. You can't tell me. I can, and I am. You need to leave. Now. He stepped closer, trying to intimidate, trying to remind me of when I was smaller. But I wasn't smaller anymore. You think you're something now? He said. You think buying this place makes you better than me? I don't think about you at all. Security arrived. I'd called them when he first walked in. I knew his type, knew he'd make a scene. Mr. Price is leaving, I told them. Daniel looked at the security guards, then at me. Then he turned and walked out. I never saw him again. 6 months passed. Evelyn's probationary period ended. Her reviews were strong, patient satisfaction high, no incidents, no problems. Lena recommended making her permanent. I approved it. I also promoted my mother, made her director of food services, better pay, better hours, an office with her name on it. She cried when I told her, You don't have to do this, baby. Yes, I do. You've worked hard your whole life. It's time you got recognized for it. I'm so proud of you. I learned from the best. 1 year after I bought the hospital, I was walking through the parking lot early one morning. My car was parked in the owner's spot. A nice car, not too flashy, but nice. The kind of car that said someone had worked hard and earned success. I saw Evelyn standing near the entrance. She was looking at my car, then at me walking toward it. Our eyes met. She didn't say anything, just watched me unlock the door, watched me get in, watched me drive away, and I knew she understood. Not just what she'd lost, but what she'd never really had in the first place. She'd wanted success that looked good. I'd built success that mattered. She'd wanted someone who fit her image. I'd become someone who didn't need anyone's approval. She'd wanted more, and she'd lost everything trying to find it. That evening, I had dinner with my mom in her new office. She'd brought food from home, made my favorite, just like she used to. You happy, baby? She asked. Yeah, Mama, I am. Really happy or just successful? What's the difference? Successful means you got what you wanted. Happy means you wanted what you got. I thought about that, about the hospital, about the work, about the life I'd built from nothing. Both, I said finally. I'm both. She smiled. Good, because success without happiness is just a nicer prison. You always know what to say. That's my job. We ate in comfortable silence. Later, walking through the hospital on my way out, I saw Evelyn. One more time. She was at the nurse's station, reviewing a chart, working late, dedicated to her patients. She looked up and saw me. We held eye contact for a moment. I nodded once, professional, respectful. She nodded back. Then I kept walking, because that's all there was left to say. She'd made her choices. I'd made mine. She'd judged me as too small. I'd proven I was exactly the right size. She'd thrown away something real for something that looked good. I'd built something that was both. And now, every morning when she came to work, she'd see my car in that parking lot. She'd remember the man she dismissed. She'd know what she lost. And I'd know something more important. I'd know that I didn't need her to see my worth to know it was real. I'd know that the opinion that mattered most was my own. I'd know that being thrown away by someone who couldn't see your value doesn't make you worthless. It just means they were blind. I walked out of the hospital that evening with my head high. The janitor was gone. The owner remained. And somewhere behind me, in the building I now controlled, a woman who'd once thought I was beneath her was learning what it meant to work for someone she'd underestimated. Some mornings, she still saw my car outside. And that was enough. Not because I needed her regret, but because I'd finally learned something she never understood. You don't win by becoming louder than the people who dismissed you. You win by becoming unrecognizable to their judgment and unreachable to their regret. I got in my car and drove home. Tomorrow, I'd do it all again. Build something that mattered. Lead with integrity. Prove that where you start doesn't determine where you finish. And remember that the man who mops the floors might one day own the building. Not for revenge, but because he never stopped moving forward, even when someone he loved told him he wasn't good enough. Especially then.